Hello everyone, yours truly Chrislevi13, and as you can see I am joined by the one and the only Avidan Smith today for this episode of the podcast. And today we're going to talk to him about the Beats for Breakfast, the Chillcast, and just kind of how he came to be the content creator he is, and kind of give a little look back, kind of like we did with Studio Nintendo and also Linda, aka the Gamer Girl, on his backstory. Because it's cool to dive into these things that you don't always see these people talk about, but when they do know that, they would love to share it with you all. So I want to start off with Avidan just real quickly, because enough of my jibber jab is what you've been up to, kind of how did you get to where you are, and stuff like that. Just a general question of like, hey, this is what I've been up to recently. Was everything going on? Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. There we go. That should fix it.
All right, so guys, we're gonna
Sorry
run
about
back in
that.
time.
Sorry about that.
We are gonna run back in time, and I'm just gonna repeat everything that I said. So once again, thank you, Chris Levi, for inviting me on to this show. It's truly an honor to be on your podcast. I saw 2 episodes, one with Linda and the other one with Studio Nintendo. Both were really good, and it's an honor to be on here. So I'm excited to be on here. Now, Chris asked me, what, how do I do? So I am Avidan Smith. I run 2 channels. One, the regular channel Avidan Smith, where we run the Chillcast every Friday. And right now I'm in the process of reconstructing my channel. I'm doing more so of music and gaming fused together, which I was doing some part of last year, but I've gotten to the point where I just want to do mainly just that for that channel, because that's really where my passion is.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start teaching people how to do music with the program FL Studio, maybe a little bit of Machine down the line. And with the second channel, Beats for Breakfast, kind of like Chris himself, the channel is dedicated to just being podcast-esque, kind of. It's more of a YouTube show, because it's like I try to incorporate like real commercials and everything throughout the episodes, but I interview some of your favorite content creators, anyone from, Chris Levi's gonna be on the show one of these days. We gotta have Chris Levi. But Studio Nintendo, we've interviewed, who's in the chat right now, Chips and Sticks. We've interviewed people like RGT85, Miss Clig, Player Essence. We've interviewed David Drayton. He also interviewed even the Chippercrit, the sound composer of Earth Night. So a lot of fun, a lot of work, and I'm trying to still get a handle of time. So, but what we all want to know is, how are you doing, Chris? How has your day been?
Well, if you were to ask me a question, how my day's been pretty good. It's one of my off days, because I don't really get weekends ever off, because I'm always busy creating content, live streaming, joining in community nights on your Discord, or I'm at work during the day. But Wednesday and Thursdays are usually my off days, where I take the day to de-stress on Wednesday, just kind of play some games and just do that. So that's pretty much what I did today. It's just de-stress from everything going on, and just kind of put that to the side and just focus on myself, kind of just get some rest, a little bit of sleep. And then now we're here doing this.
It's needed, man. It's definitely needed. I wish I could have moments to de-stress, but like you, I work. Let's see, I work Monday through Friday, and now because of just the workload, I work on Saturdays, which is optional, but I still work on Saturdays, and sometimes I work on Sundays. So it's, yeah, I get it though. But we're not here to talk about that. We're not here to talk about anything that you said you had some fun things you want to ask me. I want to lighten up the mood a little bit. I want us to all have a good and enjoyable time for this podcast.
Yeah. And I just want to throw it out to everybody that's in the chat. Feel free, just like with the previous episodes, you're able to ask questions. You can ask questions to me, to Avidan, about any topics that you feel like. And we'll definitely, when I see the questions pop up, I definitely will get to them and answer them. And I just want to give a big shout out to everybody that's here real quick, and that is Dorkman, Chips and Sticks, Stitched, and Hoperini, and David G. So thank you all for being here. It's going to be a fun episode. And I got to say thank you, number one, to Avidan Smith for taking the time out of his day to come and join Beyond.
Thank you for having me, man. It's definitely an honor.
Yeah. So
Definitely an honor, man.
So to start things off, you do two YouTube channels, and I've known you for a couple years now. I remember. I forgot how we met. It was somewhere, I think, through Racks Greater, some channel I was just going through, and then eventually it leads to one thing, it leads to another, and we've become really good friends because I'm almost
We
there.
did.
Yeah, because like every day I'm in the Discord, we're sitting there chatting on community nights, several nights a week now since what's happened. We just want to be closer in this community and check up on each other because some people need that. But what made you want to become a YouTube creator? Like, put what you do as music or just video games on this platform as known as YouTube.
Well, I started my channel back in 2016, and back then, my channel was more so. I started off doing channels where I would teach things of the faith because I am a Christian. So I start off my channel doing that, and it wasn't coming off the way that it wasn't natural to me. Even though I can naturally speak about it to a lot of people, that wasn't natural. So I just started playing video games, and that came off way more natural. And one of the first people who would like catch my streams was Chips, Chips and Sticks. Like he would catch a lot of my streams. And this is back when I was streaming games like Zelda Breath of the Wild and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And this is before I went face cam. And
Oh,
in 2018, no, excuse me, 2017, December 2017, I just had an epiphany. It's like that was a rough year for me, 2017 altogether. I just had an epiphany. I just said, you know what? I'm not going to wait to the new year's just to go it all in. I decided to niche my channel down to just gaming and just do whatever it is gaming, I'm going to do it.
yeah,
And I started to go on camera more. That's when I bought like this desk. I didn't have my computer, but I had my laptop here, and I just started doing gaming news. I never scripted anything, but I would just look at the news, speak to the camera, have like 75 different takes. you know how it is.
I know what it is.
And then I actually put out the video, and after a while, I started to get more traction, and then Smash JT, he was having a video, like he would like rate your videos. So I was like, okay, I'll let him check out my videos. And unbeknownst to me, in that chat, RGT85 was in that chat, and he liked my presentation and the energy that I had with the videos. So they pushed for me to get my first 100 subscribers. This was January of 2018, and just 2 weeks later, I was on the Spawncast, and like within 2 weeks, I was at like 300 subs.
Wow.
And it was a mind blowing change for me, but it made me want to keep the rubber on the road moving. So I just kept on pushing everything out, and then from there, I met Mikkel, I met OJ, been on their podcasts, and the rest is history. You hit 1,000 subscribers, and then I think it's at that 1,000 mark for me. It hit me. Okay, do I really want to keep doing this? Do I really want to keep doing just gaming news?
Yeah.
Every single day? And it hit me is no, I'm not interested in doing that every single day. So that's when 2019 hit, and I started doing the remixes. And I started doing the breakdowns, and I did that for a while. At 2019 started off good, but then midway I kind of just spiraled off, and I wasn't really just even focused on doing that. I was just focused more so on the Chillcast because I didn't know which way I wanted my channel to go. So I just focused on the Chillcast. And then I've had one really good friend just really talk me into actually, we're gonna actually we're gonna actually give props. I really want this to be a fully transparent. Shout out to Leah because she was actually the person who pushed me to do Beats for Breakfast. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do this. It's like, yeah, I'm saying, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do this. And I really, really, really don't regret anything about doing Beats for Breakfast. And it's even though the second channel was Beats at the moment, it's like it wasn't a hesitation for me to change that because that felt so much more natural to do that. So shout out again, thank you again, Leah, for helping me, like for pushing me and back then I was stubborn because I wasn't really feeling the idea, but
Yeah.
I'm glad I went through with it now. So I literally wanted to just keep moving forward, with that. And Beats for Breakfast has been, I want to say the first episode aired, I want to say it aired in September. So it was either September or December. No,
Wow.
it aired in December. The first episode aired in December. So yeah, the first Friday in December was the first episode, and that's when we had David Drayton, and we had everyone from David Drayton to the last published episode was with Chips and Sticks, which we're gonna have more published episodes. I'm like right now reforming how I'm doing that, and 2020 has been just a year for me to kind of just reformat everything
Yeah.
and
Good.
just polish everything up. So
Yeah.
that's me in a huge nutshell where I'm at now.
Cool to hear your story of how you came to be what you're doing with the main channel, Avidan Smith, and also the other channel, which is becoming really really good. Because I like those Beats for Breakfast episodes, because it's cool to see the way that you do. You for me as take my creator side of it as a fan, it's cool to see that you don't just do it the whole podcast all the way through. You actually add in a few other little things to have it, like little commercial breaks and the different things, and the variety of creators that you have on there is really really cool. Because in just gaming, there's a lot of different variety. You've got Spawn Wave, who does a lot of just general like the news that's out there, but then you got Chips and Sticks, who does some live streams and some reviews and a different style of thing, and it's two different things, but they're also in the same niche at the same time. So it's really really cool. So speaking of Beats for Breakfast, how do you feel about where it's gotten you being able to interview these different creators? Because we're going to talk about a wide variety of things, but Beats for Breakfast is something that I really looked up to. I really like it. So how do you feel when you go into these interviews and being able to get all these different creators on there when you look back at it as you look at, like you're looking at your portfolio?
Everybody could tell you that I'm always so excited because even you know what, it's funny. The only person who I've really had on Beats for Breakfast as part of the Chillcast is probably NX. Every other member I interviewed. And the funny part is, I want to, even though I know the people I'm interviewing, I want to ask questions that I never got answers to.
Yeah.
I want to ask questions that other people are probably interested in hearing. And to me, it's more about the conversation with that person rather than just the gamer aspect. My goal for Beats for Breakfast is if I could get you out of the comfort zone of being just that content creator, of that alias you are, and for you just to get in your natural state, your natural element, and for you to just discuss who you are, to me, that's amazing, because then it's like people really see you for who you are. It's like, and if that, and it is, I'm not saying everyone pretends, but sometimes when we doing YouTube, it's like we get caught up in the character. We get caught up in the character of who we are, and sometimes people we become a caricature of ourselves, and it's like sometimes.
I mean, to speak on that, it's like sometimes you do that for so much that even when you're outside of it, that's all that people see of you.
And that's where it's like, you allow people to see different sides. People get to see, with Chips more so of like some of his views with comics and everything and how things should be done, or even in terms of marketing, or when it comes to, Miss Click and everything on how music is with her, how music is really important with her, and how, different things in her story, how she had to do things, or certain things with RGT85 with his, his love for hip hop music. It's like you don't necessarily see those things on the forefront of their channels, and it's like being able to bring those conversations out, to me, that is something that I always look forward to. So yeah,
that's something that's fun, because when I see you bring these conversations out, man, like whenever you and RGT85 start talking about the Genesis and the Super Nintendo and the sound and all that, it's just like a whole like the little kid from him from back in the day when he was playing those systems came out of, and I'm like, you don't normally see that on the channel.
Yes, and it's like, that's the thing. It's like me, I tell people all the time I love Nintendo, but I was a Sega kid growing up. I had Sega first, and it's like I got Super Nintendo when I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Wow.
So it's like Sega, that was what I experienced when I was like 2 and 3 years old, when I had my first experience playing video games. It's like the first video game platformer that I ever seen was Sonic before I saw Mario.
Wow.
So that's why it's like I value being able to play. You know, I value PlayStation. I said PlayStation. The PlayStation 5 thing flashed across my head for a second.
Yes.
But yeah, PlayStation 5, is something that we could talk about later on. But that's why I grew up with, Sega and just playing those Sonic games, man. It just always bring back memories.
Yeah. So I don't want to. Well, so the first question I see that got tagged both is Dorkman asked, as you could probably increase numbers if you were not as kid friendly, how do you maintain knowing more numbers are out there? So since you do real kid friendly stuff on your channel and in your Discord and all that, how do you? He basically seems like he's asking, how do you maintain that, knowing that you could possibly have more numbers if you weren't that way?
Quite simple, really. For me, every person that views is a real person. I don't view people as just another number. I feel like I don't ever really agree with that route, and I want to maintain that belief because these are real people behind these accounts for the most part. A lot of people have stock accounts. I'm not talking about that. For the majority, these are real people who are investing in your content. So for me, it's more about the quality rather than the quantity. I rather attract people who are naturally interested in what I have to put out for people, other than people who are just doing it just so you can have as many people as possible.
Amen.
Yes, I could listen. With some of the ideas that I've had that were trending, and at the time they were doing it, my channel could have been a lot higher. If I was non-kid friendly channel at the time where reaction channels were thriving, I had the idea to do those reaction channels back then. I had the idea of knowing what to react, and all my reaction videos always did well on the channel. If I based the channel based off those alone, I could have did good doing that. I could have went in that direction, but to me, that's not what I desired. I want people to here's the thing. I want people to see the content. Let's say we say kid friendly. I want people who are older, let's say my age, or a little bit older, or probably even a little younger. Let's say they do have kids, right? I remember the days when it's like I was like a little bit, a few years younger, when it's like I had to help, put some of my kids to sleep, or I'm hanging out with my kids. You sometimes want to watch some content that is not going to be offensive to your kids when they are around. And that's why even with some games, that's why my game selection is the way it is today, because it's like I don't want to play a game on the screen and it's almost like something offensive flashes that's to their eyes. So that's why for me it's kind of like not really feeling certain things. Now some things, it's like I pick and choose and everything. Of course, when we have community night, when we watch certain things, that is well after hours and everything, and even that I try to still make sure that is in a controlled environment.
Yes.
So that's why for me personally, it's not about the numbers for me, it's the quality of the viewer.
That's very good, and I gotta give my hats off to not just everybody that's here, but especially the people like Avidan, Studio Nintendo, and the one that asked that question, Dortmund. They're parents, but they're also out here wanting to be part of these different communities or creating content themselves. But they're also being mindful that with the content they do, that they don't want to sit there and one of their kids walking there, or one of their kids' friends maybe you never know. And also for other people that come into the community, they want to make sure it's something that's inclusive to everybody, no matter the age. And that's very, very, very respectable and commendable.
Yeah, Leah said in the chat, said she knows 2 YouTubers that are family friendly with over 1 million subs, so it's all good. And she's right, because we had a conversation. I cannot remember their names right now. My bad. I was trying to remember the names, but I can't remember the names right now. But yeah, like there are people who have over 1 million subs and everything. And if I ever hit that, cool. But if I don't, I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. And I
Yes.
appreciate you, Darkman. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, yeah, I do. So, so getting so diving more into the content you create and all that. People know you mainly on the Avidan Smith channel as hey, I'm video games, and now it's been pushed towards hey, here's the Chillcast, and now you're starting to incorporate more of your beats. And then you got Beats for Breakfast over here, your other channel that you're growing, and it's all revolving
Yes.
around what thing? Beats. And it's something that I wanted to dive into, just like I did with Studio to know more than music. Can you tell people like where did it come for you as you're growing to like start making beats? Was it like something you did during high school? Was it something that just got your interest? Where did that all come to making beats?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. Um, well, I'll say I'll say this. Making making beats started. I will say okay. My love for music came from the household I grew up in. It's like I come from a music background with family, but making beats for me has been, I would say, shout out to my home, to one of my best friend, considered like my brother and everything.
Yeah.
He started making beats and everything, and because I love him, I'm like, yo, what's that? And then he showed me like FL Studio. At the time, was the crack version. I'm gonna be honest with you, it was the not legal version of it. But he got me into it. So I started looking into the whole thing of making beats, and it was it was different. I'll say that much. It was insanely different because making beats was not easy, especially that program. It was super complicated. And Bryson said we all use the crack version.
Oh man.
My man. I don't advocate for that. I'm gonna tell you guys why when I'm done with the story. This story is gonna have a lesson to it on why not to use that. So stay tuned. So I would say this was back in 2004. Yeah, 2004. I started making beats, and the things that I learned how to make beats, like the originals, they were not coming out. But then I learned how to sample and how to MIDI sample, and it came out a little bit easier. So, I would sample video games here and there, and then I would go as far as sampling, stuff like Moonlight Sonata, the old classical stuff. So I would
Yeah.
sample like Flight of the Bumblebee, stuff like that. I didn't care what it was. I was that experimental to just try my hand in sampling anything, and sampling video games, no matter what genre the song was. It was fun. And a lot of people, started, liking my music. So when I got off to college, more people started liking my music, and then that's when people want to start purchasing some of the stuff that I started doing. So I started selling beats, and then I got to a point where I started overlooking the audio editing process, and I started overlooking how to mix tracks, and I really started getting into the producer aspect of it, because that was the point where I was helping guiding tracks and guiding song placements, and where a song should be placed, or what beat should be used where, or how an artist should go over a beat. And I would say in 2014, I took a huge hiatus, because that is when, you know, I I would just say that's when I had, my first real spiritual revelation. And a lot of that, a lot of what I was doing music wise, it wasn't right. It wasn't sitting well with me. So I just took
Mm.
a year hiatus. And then when I came back, 2015, a little bit, just to start making more music, it still wasn't hitting with me. So I just said, you know what? I want change my name, because even the name I was using back then wasn't sitting well with me. So that's when Avidan Smith was born. And so Avidan Smith is a, initially a music alias initially. So and I said, I'm never turning back from this. I said, this is something that I know that I'll keep, forever. So I would say going down to now where I'm making music now, I got the purchase version of FL Studio because I learned to shout to Curtis King. I learned that if you was to ever do any type of tutorial with FL Studio, they could actually pinpoint at the top left if you got this as a cracked version or if it's the real version, because it's supposed to be your actual name at the top left. So everybody had like the pirated version, the same name that was the top left, and nobody knew. So that's
Wow.
how so many
Wow.
people were getting like lawsuits and different things and their stuff taken down, all a whole bunch of other things. So I told myself, I said, okay, I'm gonna do this right. And I just started I really just started doing things more, even for legal aspect. Even when I, want to do samples now, I go to MIDI route instead of like the MP3 route sometimes because that is more in the lines of a cover. If I do the MP3 route, it's just for you guys, it's just to show off to you guys and show what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm learning how to even get royalty free samples or samples that I have permission to use. So that is something that I've been glad in. So that's me, music. I took about 10 minutes to say it, but I give you 16 years worth of history in that time span.
Bryce says, "Oh man, I'm glad I never showed that. There, thanks for the tip, and good on you for being genuine and honest, man."
Yeah, don't do it, man. You get caught slipping if you show it on the top left. You will get caught slipping.
I've watched like tutorials of that stuff on YouTube, and I never thought that they could have been using it if I didn't look in the corner.
Mm-hmm. So it's like that's why it's it's good. Like I said, music making, man, it's such a beautiful process. Even today, I started wanting to work on some music, and I was like, you know what? Let me take these headphones off, put them down, because I would not be able to sign back into work. I know I was about to get lost that fast.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. It's people. You also check out Avidan stuff. On his main channel or on his Beats for Breakfast channel. He does some awesome beats, especially whenever he goes and gets some of these musical tracks and does it. It's really really awesome. And also it's cool that if you really get to know Avidan and become part of his community, you can get in some good conversations with not only him but Studio Nintendo. Because I'll be late at night sometimes, and they'll just be talking about like the different beats and different things they're talking about, or what studio's doing for this part. And they help each other make their own products better and push them to do better because they both know music and love it so much. It's cool stuff.
One thing I wanna ask, if you don't mind me asking you a question on your podcast, is what got you into music? Because I know you play the guitar.
Yeah, I'm wanting to show it more on my YouTube side of things and all that because I'm more of just like a rhythm guitar. But what got me into music is that I played trumpet back in 8th grade because hey, a lot of my friends did it. We could get out of class every once in a while, and I thought, hey, play the trumpet, be in the school band, have a little fun. So I did that, and then I was going to do it in high school. But me and like the band director just didn't get along, and I wasn't progressing as fast as everybody else was. So he'd put me to the side and give me some stuff and be like, hey, you go here in this little room right here and you learn this, and then everybody else is learning everything else, and I just got tired of it, so I kind of quit it for a while there. And then my dad started wanting to get into bands. He had never been in a band before. He'd played music just his whole life, guitar playing. He played a lot of the 70s rock and roll, 80s stuff his whole life, just when he'd hear it on the radio. And eventually I grabbed one of his guitars and started playing it one day, and I was just like, what do you do? And he just like started showing me stuff, but he'd be at work a lot of times, so I'd eventually play it, and I didn't know what I was doing, so I broke a few strings on it, and he's like, oh no, you can't be doing that, son. So for Christmas that year, they got me a starter kit, which I still have that guitar right over there, a starter kit, and all that, which came with a guitar and an amp, a strap, all the stuff to start you playing. And then as I got into high school, I started knowing some of the other people, grew my hair out and all that, knew some other people that played music and all that, and they showed me how to play some riffs here and there. I'd go hang out at the weekends at their house between school and all that, and we would just play a little music and all that and just do that. And then eventually when I graduated high school is when I really got into music. The summer after I did that, I started my own band with 3 other friends. It was a garage band because all we did was play in the garage for like 2 months. And we had 3 cover songs and 1 original, and we did that, but then that didn't work out because I was like, I'm tired of sitting there bringing all my gear over here and the other guitar player doing this and me having to teach the bass player all this. So I finally said y'all can't get y'all's own gear or do all this stuff. I'm not going to provide everything for everybody. So I kind of did that. And by that time, my dad had already been in a band for a couple years, done all this stuff, and I'd been seeing him play live and all that. And he eventually said, hey, why don't you start coming to practice with us and all of that. And eventually I'd come to practice and I'd stand over the side next to the singer and the rhythm guitar player, and I'd watch what his hands did. And I can't really read music, but I'd watch what his hands do, and I'm like, I can do that right there. I can watch play the chords. So he just kind of, after they did band practice, he'd come over to me and say, okay, here's 3 of the songs we did, and here's the chords. And then I'd watch his hands, and then I'd be like, okay, I got this hand going for the chord, and then now I got to get my rhythm going. And I did that for a couple years, and then eventually me and my dad got into a band together, which was me, my dad. We had 2 singers, a male and a female singer, a drummer and 2 other guitar players, which was the big band. It was like 7 people in the band. And I just didn't really know as much as everybody else, but the lead guitar player would sit there and show me all this stuff, and he'd sit there, take time before practice, after practice, away from everybody else, and just help me. And then as we got on stage, I started learning stuff, doing little things that would add like little like different sounds to like the music and everything. And like, hey, you don't need to just play the rhythm like him, or you don't need to just try to do the lead. Why don't you do those little fill parts that people do in songs like back in the 80s and 90s and 70s that we're covering, because we covered stuff from the 60s all the way to today. Those little fill guitar parts, or maybe, hey, that little acoustic part that people don't hear, play that part. And it just blew my mind how much more better as a musician I got through doing that. And it made me appreciate music whenever I played a video game, or like I was watching like an artist like do their live show, whether it be through social media or I go to a show. I appreciate the work that they put into it, because I'd feel like you don't just sit there and hear that music. They're not just sit there gifted to play this stuff. It's like you got to not just have this hand, which is doing the chords, but you got to have rhythm in this hand. And it's all this different stuff that goes into it. And it's just as much money. And over the years, just as much money as I put into this setup right here, a couple $1,000s, I put into what's behind that green screen right there, all that music stuff that I show from time to time. And I've come to really appreciate it and love every aspect of it. That's why, like, when I see fellow creators like Avidan or Studio Nintendo or even some of the bigger ones out there, I appreciate what they do on another level than I used to, because I used to think, oh, well, they're just playing it. But now I actually see what goes into it, and I know that it's not just something that happens overnight. It's like you've got to sit there and craft this thing, and you may have this idea, but to get to that idea, you've got to learn all these ins and outs. Just like with YouTube, to get to the idea of, hey, this is how I want my content to look at the end of the day, it may not happen for weeks on end, because you're having to get all these overlays or different edits, and it's a very, very tough thing to do, but it's also very, very, for me as a musician, a very rewarding thing.
Yo, that is super dope, man. It's crazy, just to give some, background, because it's like the route you took is the route that I didn't take. Just like how, you took up, your father in playing, the rhythm guitar. I was almost doing the same thing with the alto saxophone, because that's what my father plays and still plays to this day.
Wow.
And it's almost like I didn't go down that route only because I guess to me at that point, that just wasn't, my speed. And I just realized that. And, I had that honest conversation with my father back then, because, you as a trumpet player, you could probably understand this, but reed replacements are annoying.
Yeah.
Getting, proper reeds, but I always appreciated, live instrumentation, because of my background. And, like you said, hearing music as far as back as the 60s. And I even have an appreciation for some current music, because I hear it in a different rendition and it sounds really good. Yeah. So it's like, when you hear music all around and you grow up listening to it, you grow up listening to just different soundtracks. And like you mentioned, even just video games, you hear video game music differently than a lot of people. Like to this day, I tell people Sonic 3 is still my favorite soundtrack out of any video game to this date.
Yeah.
Because what was done with that soundtrack is just always surprises me. Is mind blowing, to say the least.
Cool. Yeah, that's a cool thing. And Yeah, I never expected to be where I got. Just to get just a little bit more on me for a second before we get back into these to the your thing is that
Go right ahead.
Cause it's on my mind is that playing music. I sit there and look at it. And I look at myself right here on YouTube, and I can look back since I've graduated high school in 2011. My dad pushing me to play music and all that. I've got to play at places that before I was ever born, a place that my mom and my dad were hanging out at, and it's like this big club in Memphis, this big place, and it's just like I played there, and I'm thinking to myself, I played live music, I've done this, done that, and all this just because I picked up a guitar and decided to play rhythm guitar, and it blows my mind that I'm not doing it now because my job's hectic and also what's going on in the world. We can't obviously go out there and play live music. But it's just like mind blowing me that all this happens, and I thank you for asking me that question because I don't really speak on that a whole lot unless people ask. But yeah.
You should, man. That's an awesome story, man. That's a legit awesome story. Like I'm interested in even hearing some music from you down the line.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah. There's some stuff that I wanted to get, but like as soon as this pandemic hit, I don't want to sit there and order it. I want to be the guy that can go in there with my amps and my stuff that I've got back there and actually make sure I get the right stuff that I want, and I can make sure it sounds right. And because I want to do it.
Absolutely.
Because I've stalked the studio Nintendo. What I want to do is basically this is just like a preview. What I want to do is something similar to what Studio Nintendo does, but more or less not just video games, but more in the live format where I record the live raw sounds coming out of the amp from my pedal board and the amp itself and capture that through the stuff and then edit that and then put that out for people.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to see it, man.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it. That's gonna be dope. That's gonna be dope.
Mm-hmm. So since we talked, we're about 40 some odd minutes in here. So since we talked about your beats and where you came from and all that, that's really, really cool. And we even talked about beats for breakfast there for a minute. I want to go to the other side of things. The big thing that you're known for and that you see all these fellow creators from Your Player Tune, NX, Studio, Rob, all kind of have on their Twitters and all that now is the Chillcast, and all that, because that's how I really got to meet you through that, and actually you actually invited me on back when I lived in the old house and didn't have good internet, and I felt so bad and all that, and
we had you on plenty of times since then, man.
Yeah, so. But I'm always appreciative of being on there. So where did the whole idea of doing the Chillcast, and even if you want to go into it, getting the fellow creators that you have to be the main core of it outside of the guest come from?
Well, shout out to Smash JT because he actually coined the name the Avidan Direct Chillcast. The Avidan Direct podcast, and then was it a podcast or Chillcast? You know what, I would have to look back at episode one or two, but I believe it was Avidan Direct Chillcast. So we just called Avidan Direct for most of the time, and after a while it was called Avidan Direct Chillcast, and after a while we called it the Chillcast. And the Chill Squad was actually coined by Nintendo. Nintendo actually coined the term the Chill Squad. So when I first started doing that, because I just said, everyone has their podcast, but I wanted to do, the podcast a little bit differently. The first episode, you guys can actually go back and check you can check the first episode. The first episode, it was direct on episode 1. Thank you, Dave. We had over 100 episodes. So I knew it was direct, Avidan Direct. And then because I had the logo, I did the logo Avidan Direct. But I know I added Chillcast eventually onto it within the first 10 episodes. Chillcast is actually added after that because I was known for doing chill streams all the time. So it was almost like adding Chillcast onto that made it the Chillcast. So the very first episode was supposed to be like a talk show. That was like my angle first, where I would give my take on the gaming news, and then if you was a member of the Patreon, I would have you come on Discord through voice, and I would talk to the person through voice for anyone who had any questions, and we would discuss it almost like a talk show host type of thing. And we did that for the first episode. It went okay, but then the second episode was when it became an actual podcast, and that's where we had Chips and at the time when she was still streaming, Mama Mercy and like a few other people, and we had Skits. I used to mess up their names a lot back then. Skits back then as well. We had George on there. Then that's when we had Rax come on, and eventually it turned into being regulars, where we had your player two, myself, and after a while it was Nick on there.
Mm-hmm.
Then Rob came on, and it was the four of us regular. And then sometimes, Chips would be able to come on because he would come on at work at sometimes, or he would just take off, and he'll be able to, be live with us. And that's when we saw there was a consistency there. That's when it became the Chill Squad, the real Chillcast.
Yeah.
And from there, the Chillcast is just evolved, and then we noticed after a while it wasn't about just the gaming news. It was about just our perspective on the topics and us going into deeper topics. And that's why sometimes it's hard to come up with different topics, because a lot of the stuff, if I'm real, we don't care about that much. Like, we're not hyped about, the game, the latest game. It's like, oh, that's cool, and that's it. So it's like we try to find different things that we can give more of a 2-word answer reply to, and then we figure out what's like the best discussion between all of us that we can all enjoy.
That's cool. And also, I've seen when you talk about that last little part of that, how you said you can't just always do the talk. Some of it ain't interest to you. What's cool about the Chillcast is that you get a couple big topics of what's happened in the last week, but it sometimes diverts from that, not only but from what y'all are talking about, but from what the chat does, because the chat is such an ingrained part of the Chillcast, because people ask questions, people help y'all get help with giving their thoughts and opinions on the topic, and it kind of gets y'all into some other topics y'all talk about. But I can see that it's very passionate about y'all talking about this stuff, because I love when they get in these y'all get in these conversations. And what's cool about y'all compared to other podcasts, I'm saying other podcasts are bad, is that y'all get to do what the title is, chill. Because I see y'all laid back and y'all just having fun, giggling. I pop in at work sometimes, and I pop in and I'm like, hey, what's going on, everybody? You just see you over there, and you're just clowning and joking and talking about gaming, like the PS5, hey, the Xbox One, the PS4, and just joking like, hey, this is my favorite, and just fun. I love it.
Yeah, man. Thank you, first of all, because it's something that we try to think about. We try to think about what's going to be, the best. At the same time, we do consider, viewers. Okay, Dorkman asks, who came up with the idea for Uno? That was actually my idea. I said we should play Uno. And the reason why everyone would say it was my birthday last year, I said, for my birthday, let's play Uno. And we actually did. That was actually a lot of fun. We got to do that again.
Yeah.
Like, we literally played Uno live. And for those of you who...
Chips! Chips going, yeah.
First of all, hold up. This is coming from the same person who says I cheated in Tekken 3 when he lost. So just take that as a grain of salt. Takes what Chips and Stick said as a grain of salt. Oh man, that was good. But we're definitely trying to have more fun nights like that. We want to have nights where it's like we're hanging out, and it's like if we're having natural fun, a lot of other people are having fun, and that's the goal. We want people who are viewing to feel like that hour and a half, or that 2 hours you spent watching us was not a waste of your time. We don't want to just sit and regurgitate news and just give thoughts and opinions. Okay, next. If that's someone's motto and that works, that's fine. I'm not knocking it. But for us, that's not our goal. Our goal is to make sure that you have a relaxed experience when you're watching the Chillcast. So you're more than welcome to come again next week.
Cool. So, as we're speaking about this, the show's about to be 2 years old. So did you ever?
We're getting there.
So did you ever expect, whenever you created this, to finally to create something called a podcast, and to be able to say, hey, I've got a group of fellow creators that will come on each week, and plus I can add a couple guests on there, and that it would go all the way to be 2 years old? Did you ever expect that?
Not at all, actually. Like from the first episode, I just said it'll be something that I'll try. And I'll go ahead and just see where this goes. But to see what it is today, Nah. And I'm just gonna be very honest. The Chillcast wouldn't be nothing if it wasn't for all of us. Yes, I had that one episode when, I did it solo, but the Chillcast wouldn't be the Chillcast without Rob, without Chips, without NX, without Nick, without your player too. Shoot, and even to where it is today, who helped build the Chillcast to where it is today, even without Rax, the Chillcast wouldn't be where it is today if it wasn't for, all of their contributions.
Cool.
And I'm always thankful for each and every one. Love them like brothers. They're the homies.
Yeah, that's very very cool. And remember, everybody, if y'all got questions, y'all feel free to ask them in the chat and all. It's cool that you see everybody that's come out tonight and everything like that. We're not done yet, but it's cool to just appreciate everybody that's here in the chat. Take a moment.
Yeah, go ahead. If you guys have any questions, go right ahead.
Yeah. So you're a man that goes from making beats to wanting to come on to YouTube and then put it like kind of like a wrestler or like this little thing on there, Avidan Smith, and then you go do these different things, and now you have a podcast, and you have two podcasts, two successful podcasts, which is cool. Thank you. Say that you're just like, I'm just gonna try this out. You're welcome, man. It's just like the way you're talking about it, you're so humble. You're like, I just want to try out doing the Chillcast, and from that grew into, well, I like doing beats and I like talking this. Well, won't I do this where I can actually interview fellow creators and talk a little bit more about that beats for breakfast? And it's cool to see that's come out of it because man, getting to know you over the last couple of years, I was so nervous whenever I first got on there and talked to anybody and all that. But see the community that you've created is very very awesome. That's kind of, I want to get into some of like the gaming stuff, like stuff like that. But really to hit on your stuff, how do you feel about the community that you've created? Because like me, I feel really at home and like it's a safe place that you built. But the community you built throughout your two channels, and also especially in the Discord, where we can watch anime, we can work on content together, we can share what's happening out there in the world in a safe place. How do you feel about the community you've created?
I love y'all. Point blank, period. That's how I feel about the community. I love y'all, and I will fight for y'all. I will fight for you guys to feel safe, and I'll make sure the community stays a certain way. That's just point blank. That's if you ask how do I feel about the community, I love every bit of that community, and I really thank you guys, because there are times when I don't feel like working. I don't feel like making content. Listen, a game of Smash and just laughing and joking, after I'm done, I'm like, you know what? Let me try my hand again at this beat again. Or if we're in a workflow and I see, someone's working, I'm like, you know what? Let's work on something at the same time.
Good.
I see Nick working, I say, you know what, let me work at the same time. Or when Tommy Reku was just chilling, I'm working. It's almost like him listening in and him just giving his input. It's like, I appreciate it. I don't take any of it for granted. And even in our times now, what we're going through now, it's like, I really like our community on how we can stand together, even when we may not agree on different things. I do appreciate where there is enough respect for each other to not disrespect each other.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I can say about the community. We don't ever disrespect each other. That's one thing you do not see. And if we do, we're able to go to each other and talk about it, and it's settled and squashed. That's why I love the community.
Yeah, it's cool.
So,
so we have two questions. The first question is for Avidan, and from Dorkman. It says, best music moment in a video game.
You know what? There's so many, but I'm going to say I would probably have to say, I'll give one of my favorite music moments. I would say Final Fantasy VII, the original, hearing Sephiroth sing me, like the final boss, like the One Wing Angel theme. I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard that, I was shook as a kid. I was shook as a kid, because I'm like, wait a second, what's going on here? and it's like I think that was the first time ever you heard in video game where the boss music is singing the last boss's name in different parts. Like you haven't heard that in video games back in '97. So hearing that, it was spooky at different points, but at the same time, it's like going back listening to that and hearing what they did to that musically. It's a genius rendition. It's like just the way the strings play, the way the horn section plays, is it's made to keep you on your toes. And I appreciate the composer for like being able to make a tune that it's like it touches on your emotions. So I'm appreciative of that. I'll say that was one of them for me.
Cool. And the other question was from Leah. Any future plans for the Chillcast involving it evolving more as a show?
As of right now, not yet per se. Eventually down the line, yes. But as of right now, we're just gonna take things episode by episode only because of just where we are in the world right now. Whereas just many of us are just taking things day by day. So we, we can have plans and everything of where we want to go, but at the same time, it's almost like we want to make sure it's like we're all in a better emotional state overall before we start committing to more different plans. One of the things that we have been doing is just making sure that we do have a section where we can just have just a Q&A section. I guess just thinking about it right now, I'm going to get some work on trying to use OBS. I'm trying to learn StreamYard, which again, Leah suggested. I didn't know that's what she was suggesting, but she suggested that. And then Mikkel actually told me what it was because I didn't know what it was when she was suggesting that. I thought it was something new that had to do with OBS. Yeah. And my stubborn behind wasn't trying to hear that back then. But when I saw it was actually an actual program that does that, I'm like, all right, we could do that. We could definitely do that. So I would say looking back, we're going to try to have more of a section where we can have more of a highlight for the people in the chat so we can highlight your comments more. So the Q&A section is going to actually about to be a real section. But what I need to learn how to do is how to go live with that platform, but still be live with OBS where I can do transitions at the same time. So it looks a little bit more polished because with that episode, we couldn't even do the intro the way we wanted to. Yeah. So eventually we're gonna have an outro as well, but yeah, that's just where we are as of right now.
Okay, cool. It's cool hearing all that about the Chillcast, and the questions y'all asking are very good questions. I love it that y'all are asking questions and everything like that, and it's cool hearing all this stuff. So, getting into some things. Speaking of Final Fantasy 7, I wanted to ask this question. You talked about it in length on your channel. You even had a spoiler version of the Chillcast where I stayed where I got told to stay away, and I'm like, okay, and then I come in a couple weeks later, and I'm just like, and then first 5 minutes, I'm having to walk out. I'm like, and Nick was on you about that. But. But
my bad.
Okay. But see, okay. Back onto the game. So you talked about the music at the end of the game and how they weren't doing music like that. You can look at music and gaming and see how much it's changed over the years. How much from what they were doing with 8-bit all the way to 16-bit to 32 to nowadays. When it comes to Final Fantasy 7, like the remake, which just released about 2 months ago at the time of this, you look at it and how do you, as somebody that does beats, but also as a fan of this series being one of your favorites, how do you look at how they redid the music and like the whole game and story and everything so far? Like if you had to tell somebody like, hey, I'm thinking about picking up Final Fantasy 7 remake. I've seen my dad or cousin or even I played the original, but I don't know how much of a difference is this. How would you like sell that game to them, or would you say that game has impacted you?
The game as a whole, or just the music?
I say the game. I'm just generalizing the game as a whole. Like the changes. how it grew from being what it was to being what it is now, and how would you tell other people about it?
I would honestly say if you are somebody who is a fan of Final Fantasy VII, you owe it to yourself to go ahead and at least give this game a try. That is my that is my opinion because honestly, Final Fantasy VII Remake is definitely something that it took me by surprise. You know, just from the music, the entire music selection, maybe for about one or two tracks, the entire music selection is something that I can definitely say that I appreciated heavily. And in terms of just the story, I don't agree with everything they changed story wise or everything they have different things in the story. But I will say overall, I appreciate all the changes they made with Final Fantasy VII. It's something that I'm really I enjoy.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed that game because it's almost like I played so many games now since then. I played Trials of Mana. I played Streets of Rage 4. I'm playing in the process of playing Xenoblade Chronicles 1. And those games haven't, except for Streets of Rage 4, but those other two games, the other two RPGs haven't held my attention like Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like Final Fantasy VII Remake, when I had a free moment where I wasn't making content, that was my go-to game.
Yeah, I mean, from what
Like,
I mean, from
what?
talking to you, whenever you were playing the game, like you would sit there, and it's a game that captured you so much that it made you want to beat the or get to the next chapter because you were so ingrained on what's going to happen next, because you had already knew most of what probably might have already was going to happen, being playing the original and also playing the modded versions of it through on the computer that had enhanced the graphics, but what they did to the game was so cool, and just to see you like playing it so much, and even hear you talk about a little bit of what you could in the chats whenever I was around, because I hadn't beat the game. It's really really cool to see that game threw you back into what kind of the feeling that you had whenever the 1997.
Mm-hmm. It does. And it's like being able to see what they did with that it was huge because it's almost like you have a 2D top down trying to give like a somewhat 3D perspective, not really, but it was like a top down RPG.
Yeah.
And playing that from a turn-based game to a semi-open world. I'm not gonna say it was fully open world, but it was enough where you could just see more of the world around you. It's like they expanded different parts of the towns that you would never thought before, and just seeing how the game was way different, just from the voice acting to just even some of the parts of the battle system. It really made you want to go ahead and play, and just even how they ended the game, like the ending itself was just so mind-blowing. So that's why I just said if you are a fan of Final Fantasy VII, I encourage you to go ahead and purchase it because it is definitely one for the books. It's still my game of the year so far.
Cool. Now, one little question that I got about that game is you've listened to hours of the original soundtrack. Now you've listened to a lot of the new,
Yes, sir.
you've listened to the new soundtrack, and you've even seen your friend Studio Nintendo take some of the tracks and put it in his own little style on there. How do you feel about the music and what they did from what they were able to do then to what you saw what they do now?
I feel it was great because back then they had a lot of hardware limitations of what they could put out from music back then. You know, back then you had to use a MIDI soundboard or MIDI style for all your tracks to be put out. And since then there have been orchestras from Square where you would hear Final Fantasy VII orchestras. And since then, with that, it's like they took that orchestral style and they took some of the MIDI aspects of it and made just a fresh new track where everything is played out live. And now when you hear different things, like all the tracks, they retain that nostalgia feeling while still feeling fresh, while still just
Mm-hmm.
having someone in even deeper effect, like the bombing mission or the Mako reactor or the Shinra theme.
Yeah, because when you
All of these sounds are way more powerful than they were before.
I agree totally with you because like I played the original and then you play this one and when you're just getting that first scene, the first time you see Cloud and the way the ambiance the music puts on you and the way it draws you in, you're just like think in my mind when I was playing, I was thinking back to the Final Fantasy 7 on the PS1. I'm thinking, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do here? What are they changing up? Are they changing anything early? Are they gonna wait till midway? Are they gonna surprise you? And the way the music was going along with it was just like so like wow when you saw the train come up in there and them jump and do all this, it was like oh, and the music was so done well that me having the headset that I have on you could hear it in both sides of the ears because back
Exactly.
in that because what's different about gaming now is like you can still listen to it through your TV and all that. But back then, when I was playing the PlayStation, I didn't have a headset. I wouldn't think about having a headset. I was thinking, oh, my little CRT TV right here. I'm playing this game. And listening through these, you hear the nuances of that music, and you can see that this game is like one of the top games, probably right next to Resident Evil 2 remake. That is like phenomenal what they did.
Absolutely. There was I tell people when you listen to the music in this game, they had more of a movie score approach because the music will play all throughout, but the music will get louder and speed up, or it will change its renditions when you're entering battle, or when you change a different area, the music would change depending on what part of the map that you're on. So yes, absolutely, the music
Hmm.
has changed in a way, and like you said, when you listen to headphones now, you can hear where they'll pan certain things only on the right ear or on the left ear, and you'll hear different like different changes, and it made hearing some of your favorite tracks, it made hearing them just amazing because I'll say the original boss music from the regular one, where you fought the Airbuster, I think at the end of chapter 7, it's like you hear it and it's like it's enough that it's fresh and you hear it had that nostalgia value. But then as the battle progresses, it's like you hear a whole new rendition of it, and it's always good. It's always good.
Hmm. So we are going to delve into some new, more current things in gaming and all that, since we are getting on the verge of at the end of this year starting a whole new generation with the PS5 and Xbox Series X. And question that was asked by Dorkman, because I don't know much about 3D audio, but he says, "Do y'all think the 3D audio for Sony for PS5 is real?" What do you know about 3D audio?
3D audio is that's still loaded. That's loaded because there were. I'm trying to think. This is the best way I could put this. The best way I could say it is I'm not sure with what Sony's going to do with that because 3D audio still is at its early stages. Like the little that I know is basically giving you just like the 3D perspective of the sounds and everything, and it's almost like it's like a surround sound in your headphones type of feel. That's the
Okay.
kind of like the best way I could approach from it. But in terms of is Sony doing that, I can't speak on that.
Yeah, and I can't speak on it anyway either because we've seen a controller, but still, until we see that console, until we see games running on that hardware, we don't just get these. Oh, this is made on a PC and this is going to be put on that console. I can't really speak to that until I see proof of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but speaking of that, for you as a gamer, whether you get it day one or you wait a couple months or whatever, how hyped are you for just the next generation of gaming and all the games and the hardware?
Honestly, I think I've reached that point where when the time comes, but I'm not hyped for these new consoles. Um, I feel like the Nintendo Switch has like kind of like satisfied a lot of my, what I like with gaming, and I'll play a lot of my Nintendo Switch games. But outside of that, for me, I'm kind of like I shrug my shoulders because it's almost like everyone is focusing on new graphics, new graphics, new graphics. And for me, I feel like that's the wrong focus on improving the resolution. I feel like there should be more work done in improving the frame rate and working to make these consoles run at a stable 60 frames per second. A 2K, listen, instead of focusing on 4K, in my opinion, I feel like running consoles at 2K resolution at 60 frames per second would have been a milestone. 1080p 60 frames per second is still isn't reached for all the games across the board. So I felt like that should have been a goal, for these next gen consoles that no matter what game it is, 1080p, 60 frames per second is gonna run. And to me, that's good because not everyone has a 4K TV or a 4K monitor. Not everyone has a 2K TV or a 2K monitor. A lot of people still have just basic HD TVs, which sometimes goes over 720p. So there's a lot of people who are not even experiencing the full 1080p. It's like they're down to 720 because, like myself, I had this TV right next to me for over 7 years now, and I'm not replacing this TV anytime soon because it still works. So it's like, I feel like there's a lot of people who are in the same boat as me. It's like if you have a television that still works, you're not gonna just go out and just buy a brand new one just because you got the money for it. If you have a fully working one in your house already. So because of that, I feel Sony and Microsoft, they kind of like jumped the gun with trying to say the most powerful console and just flexing resolution. But if your games can't be at a stable frame rate, it's I could care less.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that because like I don't care what kind of game it is. If it's old 8-bit all the way to nowadays. And when I play a game, I understand that they want to jump into all these different things, but when the average household does not have 4K TV,
absolutely,
they're in 1080p at most, and that's what they in full HD. These consoles, it's cool to see them going for that, and it's like, okay, cool, I see where they're going. But the thing about it is that for me, let me see, I'm
laughing at Chips' comment.
Yeah, I just read it. But when it comes to me, just to hit on what he said, it's more about if I play a game, will the game run all the way through as I play the game, whether it be side scroller or it be an open world game? Will it run smooth? Because I don't want to sit a game like, oh, this game's running in 4K, but then I run through it and there's graphical things that I see wrong with that mountain or my character's hand or something like that. I'm like, you could have worked more on that and made it run smooth than trying to make the overall game run on a 4K television at 60 frames per second.
I 100% agree with you. It's like, and I feel as though if they focus more on that, it still looks good. Like I feel like some people are lying to them. Listen, I was playing Final Fantasy VII remake on my TV right here, other than my monitor. That game looks amazing at 1080p. What I decided to do was I decided to shut down this computer, go on my couch like I did when I was a kid, and just play my actual my game on my TV like I used to. That's a feeling that I feel it's hard to replace, man. It's like, that's why I said, don't get me wrong, 4K looks amazing. 4K resolution looks absolutely amazing. But if you cannot have a steady frame rate, if you're having huge frame drops, I feel like that could be better optimized, man.
When they're talking
that's just me.
Yeah, when they're talking about 4K, it's like there's such this big jump from 1080p to all the way to 4K, and it's like, don't make that big jump. Make these smaller increment jumps to make everything else, like from the loading times to the way the game plays and runs and all that's a much faster and smoother experience. Because if you do that, then the game will look even beautifuler to me because I won't see all that stuff that I could sit there and be like, oh, here's a glitch. Hey, here's this, and like, so. I commend these developers for wanting to do what they're doing, but at the same time, I also got to say there's a lot of other factors that you need to look at as well. So, you're not late. We're gonna be here for at least another 15, 20 minutes. Talk about a few more things. We talked about a wide range of topics tonight.
What's up, Captain?
Night. Thank you for coming by, Captain. Thank you, everybody that's been here. Feel free to continue to ask questions, but it's cool to see some things about Avidan that you don't normally get to see because you see him do beats for breakfast. You see him do the Chillcast. And as a fan, take might be me being content creator. So when I get these conversations, it's more like me being like, hey, I'm his friend. I'm a fan of what he does, and I want to sit there and say, hey, let's shine a light on it.
Well, man, I'm a fan of what you do as well, especially when you break out into your freestyles during your live streams.
I'll put it out there. That was something that I did random in the stream because I wanted to have fun, and then I had J Love and T Belly and some other people and like some of the patrons come in and say that's something you need to keep doing. Here's something to get to. And I said, I don't have no lyrics or nothing like that. Just talk about who's in your chat, the game you're playing, and go off of that. And I'm just like, okay, I'll
Just
have fun with it. And I'm like, okay.
That's the key. And for anybody watching, if you're streaming, the key to it is just having fun.
Yeah.
Just have fun. Like literally have fun. I think that's the number one theme when it comes to, making content. Make sure you're having fun while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Especially when you're streaming. Because if you're having a good time and you are visibly having a good time, other people who are really about you will have a good time.
Yeah, and that's like I could speak on that just for a second. That's where like me as a content creator, I still do the edited content a couple times a month with Q&As and certain little things that I'm trying to add in there to be a variety. But that's why I took myself out of trying to focus on edited content, because when I tried to make it edited content, as people said, that was becoming almost a caricature of myself. It wasn't really Chrislevi13. Whenever I'm live and I'm sitting there playing anything from a TurboGrafx 16 Mini to a PlayStation 2 to playing Final Fantasy 7 Remake, people are like enjoying it because they see that I'm smiling, that I'm interacting with them, having fun, and I'm enjoying the game just as much as I'm enjoying them, wherever they're watching it, from their phone, their television, their PC. And I've started to like, okay, well, if I can be myself in that realm, let's make that good. So just as much edits people put into a video, I put just that many edits into like the whole setup of what I'm doing with all the transitions and buttons and everything. So I thank everybody for that.
Man, we thank you. And I would just add on to that. It's like the difference between just the edited content and, people feeling like it's not really yourself versus when you go live. I would say going live often helps with the edited content after a while, because in many cases, what throws people off is looking dead at this camera and feeling natural. It's almost like when people are looking at this camera, you kind of like freeze up because this thing is not responding back to you. Whereas when you're talking to a chat, you have people there that are talking to you, and the fact that our human mind knows that if there are people there, we become in a more relaxed state. Whereas it's easy to tense up because we feel like there's no one else in the room when we're just talking to the camera. So we feel like we're talking to ourselves, and when we're talking to ourselves, it feels like, okay, this is weird. Yeah. And it could get kind of like boring. It like you get in your own head sometimes. So that's
that always brings us back to the first point that you brought up when we first started this. How when you're talking about like you're creating content, like how you be on the 75th take and you'd be like, that's finally the one, because you get in your head so much that you're criticizing every word that you're saying. Like, oh, exactly. I have too much of a pause or a stutter here, and before you, and like people know how to edit all that, but there's people like they don't know how to edit that out, so they scrap a whole thing when they could have just edited one word or fixed one little scene or made a cut. And it's something that as a content creator, with what we do, us, whether it be from our music side of things or just like the live streaming of this, a lot of this stuff, YouTube or Instagram or whatever site we're on, or Twitch or Mixer, these sites don't sit there and give you like, hey, here's a book, here's how you do it like it's your job. They have somebody show you around, this is how you do your job, blah, blah. They don't show you in content creation how to do your content, because it's called content creation. You're the creator making your content, whatever it may be.
They don't. Dorkman's question for both of us was thoughts on promoting yourself. I would say there's a time and a place.
Yes.
There's a time and a place.
Thoughts on
time. Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't want to interrupt, but thoughts on promoting myself, or just for me, or for generally. I sometimes have a bad problem of doing that, because like I'll go weeks on end where I just do my content and then I forget I haven't promoted it on my platforms that I've got. I haven't reached out to this person or that person to tell them about this, because they asked me, hey, tell me when you go live, or tell me when you're doing the next podcast or something like that, so they can be there. So when it comes to promoting myself, sometimes I forget to do it, but at the same time, I don't want to overdo it to where I'm like in everybody's face, just like, oh, I'm this, because there's certain, I'm not going to call any names, but there's certain people or certain times you see that, and you're just like, if that's all you're going to do and you don't really get to see the other side of the person, or the real genuine person, I'll come support your content, but how do I know you as a person are really going to be genuine?
Absolutely. I get that a lot, and it's like, when you're on, you can easily see that on Twitter. one of the things that I would say in promoting yourself is a time and a place for it. The time is when, when you're live, you're about to go live, you want to tell people that you're gonna be live, or you have something that you want people to check out a video, so you schedule a tweet to show when your latest video is going to be up. If you're scheduling the video, these are good times to promote yourself. Or if you're on a podcast, kind of like where I am right now, and if people want to know where can they find you, then these are good times to promote yourself, because they may be more reception to check you out. The
Yeah.
times that you don't promote yourself, and I'm saying this because I've seen this multiple times, is you don't go to somebody else's stream and start promoting your channel. You don't go to somebody else's video and start promoting your channel.
No.
You don't go under other people's tweets that have a lot of engagement and start promoting yourself. These are the times when you don't promote yourself, because then at that point, it comes off as like, I call it the needy dog syndrome. It's almost like you're consistently trying to, get all this attention, and the natural response to everybody is just to brush you away, because you're being way too aggressive,
Yeah.
You got to promote yourself tastefully.
Yeah, because I, as a content creator, will see somebody, they can have the best content in the world, but if all I see from them is every time they go live, or say like I'm in a Discord and the person like the only reason they came in my Discord was to promote their content, promote their stuff. It's like, and then I go reach out to them, hey, can you do that a little less? Maybe do it, I fine doing it on your Twitter, that's how you do it, and all this. But then you come to my chat and it's like, we're having community night, and you come into like the Discord or something like that, and you just start talking about your content, and it's like, hey, I understand we all talking content here, we're all talking whatever we're doing in life, but don't just say that and then bounce out and then go live and be like, expect us all to be there. You gotta be nice about it, and when it comes to promoting yourself, also think about this, not just promoting your content, promoting other people's content every once in a while, sharing other people's things.
Amen to that.
Because when you do that, people will be like, what? This person actually likes this person. You find music, artists, other content creators that people will like, and also when you get in these chats with people, you can sit there and give them a little shout out in the Discord or in a call or in a tweet, hey, I like this, and then if you do that, you're networking, and essentially maybe sometimes through that networking you build actually a genuine friendship, aka people like me and Avidan and everybody that I have here in the chat. I've done that, create genuine friendships, and then when you go live, you won't need to promote sometimes as much, because you already know that because you built these friendships, people will come.
You can nail on the head on that.
Yeah. But to be respectful of time, we don't want to go too much longer. So I just kind of want to have a couple more questions for Avidan, maybe a couple more, and then we're going to go on and get out of here and everything like that. I want to firstly say appreciate everybody that's come by tonight and asked questions. If you got any more over the next couple minutes, feel free to ask. And also to Avidan, when it comes to content creation and all that, and you look back at your content over the last couple of years, are you proud of the content as a content creator? Are you proud when you look back at like a beat you made or a Chillcast episode you did? Are you proud of the content that you've made over the last couple of years? I'm
very pleased with the content that I've came across, because it's humbling, because a lot of the content represents a lot of me shedding of myself, of my own ways where I was too into my own opinion, and it shows growth. It shows where it's like it's humbling. It shows where I had to humble myself multiple times. So that's why I'm really pleased and appreciative of the content that I've been blessed to actually make, because it's not something that, I don't consider me making the content so much a right, but it's more so something that I get to do. It's something that I am blessed to do, because there are a lot of people who they can't do this, They may live in areas where they don't have reliable internet, or they don't even have the internet, period. It's like I'm blessed to do this, and it's like I get to make content, and that's something that I try to remind myself every single day. So it's like, for me, I I had to break out of, you know, blaming YouTube algorithms and stuff like that from my videos not getting viewed and everything and stuff like that, because I've reached a point where it's like, yo, this many people viewing is a blessing. And I need to, I want to continue to maintain that. That's something that it's, yeah, it's just humbling. It's the best way I can say is I get to make content, and
Okay.
I'm very pleased where I am with that.
Cool, cool, cool. Dortmund asked another question. He says, "What is the difference between playing a game while streaming it and just playing a game? Is there a game you enjoy streaming more than just playing?" I'll answer that question, but I want to throw it to you first.
Man,
Unless you want me to go first.
go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay, there are some games that I played that I'd rather just play outside of streaming it, and that's not to say that the game's not worth streaming, but give and take Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's a game that I really enjoy and might stream it again in the future, but I've enjoyed playing it more not on stream because I get to focus more on the game itself, more of the world and all these different things. Not saying that the games like Xenoblade Chronicles or to my Halos that I don't focus on that when I'm streaming it. It's just it's a different experience whenever you're not streaming because you don't have to sit there and focus on the chat, focus on hey the stream going well and all this in one ear or one eye, but you need and focus on the screen on this. You get to develop it, and it's almost like you get in this world, this zone. And it makes me feel like I'm like I always reference myself like a little kid whenever I played the PlayStation 2, my favorite system of all time, playing Kingdom Hearts, where I actually played Gran Turismo, and I'd play those games in front of the TV, sitting on the floor in front of the TV in my bedroom, and I'd just be so developed in that, and that's kind of where I try to get that feeling nowadays as an adult when I play these games off stream, so that I don't have the distractions of everything else, and I can really divert into the game. But playing games on stream as well, it is fun and rewarding to share experiences of games with people because we're going through some of those same scenes and same instances for the first time together. Now, as far as a game that I like enjoy stream more than just playing, it's mostly the multiplayer stuff. I enjoy streaming that more than just playing by myself because it gets me to have a group of people join in with me, and let's all have fun.
Absolutely. I'm in the same boat as you. Games like Final Fantasy VII Remake, I refuse to stream that game because when you're playing a game like that that's highly story driven, and you're also playing a game where it's like you just want to explore the world, you know, out of respect for you people, you guys who are watching us, you don't want to have in your mind that is this person bored because I'm just doing the same thing over and over again, or is this person losing interest because I'm not really progressing with the game fast enough? Like, you don't want those thoughts in your mind when you're trying to just enjoy a game. Whereas kind of like what Chris just said, multiplayer games, like games I was playing like Overwatch, when I was playing Apex, when I'm playing Splatoon 2 or Mario Kart, those games are super fun to stream because you could have voice chat with other people while you're streaming, or even when you're not having voice chat, it's almost like you could still talk to the chat while you're playing those games, and it's fun for me. So I've enjoyed streaming the multiplayer games way more than like the single player games. Whereas I will say this, Breath of the Wild is probably the only single player game that I will always enjoy streaming. Yeah. Because it's almost like you have so many different mindsets while you're playing the game, and it's with the physics mechanics in Breath of the Wild, you could kind of like create anything. So
amen. Another question we have, because I got just like one or two more to ask you myself, but cool. Captain says, I'm trying to get a new mic. What mics do you use?
For a starter mic, I used to use the Blue Yeti, and they have a Blue Yeti Mini out, which is cheaper. But right now, the mic I'm using right now is the Audio Technica 2020. I would recommend the Blue Yeti as a start-off mic, and because both are really good.
Even when you get to the Blue Yeti mic, which I'm using, you can't see it on screen unless I hold it up because I try to put it out to the side there. But they even have a cheaper version, which is still made by the same company that I've seen people like Chips and others still use.
And Snowball, right?
It's Snowball. It's like 30, $40, $50, depending on if they have sales on it. And it's just like a round ball, and it sits there, and it's a USB, and it plugs right into anything that can use USB. So if you're looking for a mic that's on the cheaper end of things, but can still give you good quality, and unless you start out and then you... Whoa! I just got a donation.
Juice Man Vaughn with the $5 dono.
What's up, y'all? Just showing some good work. Thank you, Juice Man Vaughn. Thank you. I appreciate that so much right there. I really do.
Juice
people.
Man Vaughn's the homie, man. Thanks for coming through, man.
I got to tell people right off the bat, for every donation I've ever gotten, every cent that I've ever been donated has gone straight back into this channel to provide better content for you all. There's never been a cent that somebody donated to me and said, oh, I'll go do this money, and then I go spend it on something else. No, it's always gone back into the channel. And that files will be going back into the channel. So I just got to do it real quick. My little thing. Give him a donation. High five right to the camera. High five, Juice Man Vaughn. And everything like that. Thank you. Thank you. That's something that whenever I do, still gets me whenever I'm live streaming and all that. That's something that when people sit there and donate their hard-earned money to me, it's just like, man, breathtaking. But getting back to that mic question yeah, just get what you start out with a starter mic because you don't want to spend too much money on something and then you're not wanting to use it. Start off with something more in your price range, and then figure out this is where I want to go. This is the kind of audio sound I want to get, and then kind of develop like Avidan. He started off with kind of like what I'm using, and he's kind of gone where he wants to. Or Studio Nintendo has gone and changed because they feel like what they're using it for.
Exactly.
Now I want to ask Avidan, when you look at your channel and your Beats for Breakfast and anything like that, what do you look for to kind of wrap things up? Where do you see like the future of your channel going? Anything that you like want to like say, hey, this is the future of the channel. This is kind of like some hints at some things we can give people or anything like that for your main channel or the second channel?
Absolutely. So with the main channel, I'm going in the direction of FL Studio, and right now I'm going to just put out different beats. And I'm going to just have the FL Studio logo, which was redesigned by Leah, who's in the chat. Thank you so much for that redesign. It is fire, literally. And I'm going to just use that to drive more producers to watching the channel as well. And then I'm going to get into actual tutorials into how to, do different things at FL Studio, from anywhere from proper audio mixing, anywhere from to making a beat to sampling. I'm going to just start doing more tutorials on that. And just to kind of keep the theme of the channel, I'm going to be using video game samples as my demonstrations. And there's so much video game music out there. There's literally thousands of video game music from like literally the NES to where we are now going to the PS5. If you think about, just the hundreds of games and times that by like what, 15 or 20 different songs in each game, and that's lowballing it. So yeah, it's so much music to use as examples for people. So I'm gonna be focusing on.
Okay, what is anything like for your second channel, Beats for Breakfast?
Yes, Beats for Breakfast. I'm working on actually formatting the questions more and actually making the content a little shorter. I want to be more mindful of people's time, and an hour is the maximum that I want to go now instead of an hour and a half. And I want to start putting videos down more so in the half an hour range. And I'm considering that because I want people to be able to either watch a whole episode either during their morning commute, their evening commute, or their lunch break. I want people just to have, if you want to watch something during that slot, during that time period when you're on your break, then that option's there for you.
Now, I know you like doing the edits and having the commercial breaks and having all that stuff into the Beats for Breakfast. So have you ever thought about, this is just me,
it's not just you.
Well,
it's not just you.
Okay, okay. Others then. Okay, me and a lot of others, like putting it on on Spotify or other podcast platforms where people can sit there and they don't have to watch, but they can sit there while they're doing their other things, have it playing through their headset.
You are the third person to ask me that, and I did consider that. And I'm strongly considering it now that I'm using those different services now and I'm researching different services. I eventually, yes. Spotify, yes. all these other program. What's going on, Dank Meme, and the other platforms. Yes, it is definitely something that I am going to be looking into down the line. At first, I was just going to keep it on YouTube, but now in the direction I'm going with it, and just being able to do different things and the types of commercials that I have in mind, I'm going to start doing. I'm going to I'm going to start using those platforms
Yeah,
more often.
That's the same thing for me. It's like somebody asked me, would you ever put your podcast or any kind of content on other platforms like that? And I started looking at myself in like a different light. And I'm like, well, would I want to sit there and listen to me talk, or would I like to sit there and see something like that I'm doing right here like this? And I'm like, if I can get the audio from it and I can get it crisp, clear like we do for the videos, then if I'm able to upload it there just like other people do with their music, then cool. It would be able to, for me as a content creator, grow my brand, because people could be like, okay, well, I see this audio version of it. I want to go see the video version of it. Meet the person that's actually talking. Meet the people that they're actually interviewing. And that's something that I've thought about. So let's see. Dortmund in what? In Splatoon. Beats for breakfast on podcast like streaming. Streaming would be great. I'm always looking for stuff to listen to at work. That's what Stitch said. Good to hear that.
Stitch, you're going to get your wish soon.
Yeah. Dang, okay. So I'm seeing what people say in the chat. So
yeah, that like Leah was one of the people who suggested that. Definitely,
yeah,
she was one of them. Like a lot of people, like my homie at work, he suggested that wasn't him. That was actually KAG. That wasn't him. He suggested something else. But KAG Reacts, he suggested that to be on the other platforms. I think even Chips even mentioned it at one time too.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, just to kind of just ask one little thing. You ever thought about putting your beats that way too?
My beats are definitely gonna be on Spotify down the line.
Okay.
That's definitely happening.
Okay.
That's definitely happening.
So when you look at everything, so this is one little general question to kind of leave the chat and everybody with. When you look at everything that you've done as a person, as a content creator, and all that if you had to leave like the last words with everybody to kind of like summarize like who is Avidan Smith, who is the man behind the Chillcast, Chill Squad, the Beats for Breakfast. If you had to leave them with like some last words or anything you would like to leave us people with before we get out of here, the floor is yours.
When you're making content, make sure you're making stuff that you would love to see yourself. Something that you would want to watch. Something that you find enjoyable. If you are not enjoying the content that you are making, then you're not making the right content. That's the truth. You need to make content that you enjoy, and that's something that I can't tell you. That's something that Chris can tell you. That's not something that anyone can tell you but yourself. You need to know yourself to know what is it that I would want to watch. What do I come on YouTube more for, or what do I want to see on YouTube? And you need to provide that in a way that's going to be something that is watchable, not just for you, but for other people. You have to keep the viewer in mind.
Yeah.
That's just it.
Amen.
If you're once you're on YouTube and you're putting it out for YouTube, you have to keep the viewer in mind. So that's where I am with that. It's like you have to keep the viewer in mind.
Yeah, because
that's the point that I'm trying to make. It's like you have to keep the viewer in mind.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool to leave us off with those words. So everybody go check out Avidan Smith. I will drop the link to his stuff, to his main channel right there, where you can see every Friday at it's what time is it every Friday? Just make sure I say it right to everybody.
10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That'd be 10 p.m. Eastern. I'm in Central Time Zone, so it's 9 o'clock my time. You can see it. It's got him, Avidan Smith, Studio Nintendo, Chips and Sticks, NX Revolution, Rob Regal, as well as guests popping in, and your player too as well. And other guests like me popping in from time to time. You've had V-Sips on there. You've had OJ on there. And a bunch of other people that you see in the community on there. So go check that out every single Friday. It's very, very awesome. And also, it's a good way to kind of, hey, if after you had a long week at work, to just chill out and see some of your friends talk that, or some people you like to get to know, talk about video games and just things in life. It's very, very rewarding. And also, go check out his Beats for Breakfast. He drops those episodes pretty much early on Fridays in the day. So you can kind of get them in your morning, you can kind of get them in your nighttime. Kind of get them on both sides of things. It's really, really cool.
I appreciate you, Chris. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah. So you've enjoyed being on here?
Man, I had a lot of fun being on here. Thank you so much, and thank you for everyone in the chat for your questions as well. Thank you so much for having me.
Cool. So I just wanted to kind of wrap things up. For me, people, just to let y'all know, I'm going to continue doing a lot of live streams since that's the easiest way with my schedule being the way it is because of what's going on in the world. They got me working pretty much 11 to 8 every day, so I kind of just can pop a video game in, stream it with y'all, and do that. And then on my off day, that's when I pretty much take time to say, hey, this day I work on edit content and I get out a couple videos a month. But I want to thank you to everybody who's been a recent Patreon, everybody who's recently hit that subscribe button or donate to me. It's been very, very much rewarded. We're definitely going to be doing some giveaways soon. We're going to be doing a giveaway soon, and I'm going to set up within the next week or two for when Paper Mario and Ghost of Tsushima come out, a giveaway where the winner will get to pick one of those two games that they want and get a digital code for that. So be on the lookout for that. And as far as everything else is,
that sounds awesome.
Just continue working on the content that I'm doing, where it's live streams, where I make the live streams look better. Like this right here, this whole setup this time is different than what you saw with Studio Nintendo Atlanta, because I thought there was too much on the screen. So I thought, let's have more of us. Let's have my logos and my little promotion stuff down at the bottom to where you can see it, but it's not taken away from hearing either of us as creators talk or the questions that we're putting out there. So yeah, I've got that, and especially when it came to music, I do want to share that, but I want to make sure I get the right things, because I could order something off of Amazon or something like that, but I actually want to go in person and get it so I can have the things in my hand that day instead of like, oh, I ordered this and I got to wait 2-3 weeks to get it kind of person. And also it lets me try it out in person to know, hey, is this the right one that everybody suggests me get, or hey, maybe this mic works for what I'm doing. So it's going to come eventually this year. But I will, throughout my just chatting streams I do every once in a while, take the green screen, put it to the side, and play a little bit of guitar more with y'all since people have requested it. So that's pretty much what I got going on with me. So you can check me Sunday nights for community nights, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays with some sort of live stream, and pretty much using the weekends to kind of chill out, watch other podcasts, but also enjoy the community on Fridays and Saturday nights as well. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Avidan, for taking your time to be on the podcast with me. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. And everybody, hopefully, and a lot of people coming here right at the end, man. Whew. But yeah, this will be live up on the channel for y'all to see. And one day, soon, just like my music, I'm gonna figure out a way, speaking with a bunch of other content creators, and how to get this over onto Spotify, starting with Spotify and then branching out to other places. And I just say Spotify because that's the one that I and most people I know use the most, but we will branch out to other things if the thing continues to grow. And if you ever want to be a guest on here, or you know somebody that wants to be a guest on the Vault 13 podcast where it's gaming and entertainment, feel free to DM me on Discord or Twitter, the two easiest ways to contact me, or just send me a tweet or something throughout social media. You know I'm on all the major platforms. Anyway, Avidan Smith, Chrislevi13, and we are out of here. Remember, do this biggest favor of all, and that is stay awesome.
Peace, y'all. Be safe. Still live?
Okay. I'm just doing that. They're not hearing us anymore. Oh, let me just do this.